What's up YouTube? I am super pumped for today's video. I've had the fortunate blessing to be able to work with close to 1,000 business owners and real estate investors over the past couple of decades, and you get pretty good at spotting trends. So I want to be able to give you the playbook, the cheat codes, the blueprint, so that you know what the biggest mistakes are in real estate investing, how you can avoid them, and what to do instead. So let's jump right into that video to make sure that you can walk away with those takeaways. But before we get there, I just wanted to thank everybody for all the follows, all the subscribes, all the comments. It really helps to grow the channel here. And if you haven't done that, just help us out a little bit. Hit the subscribe button, drop us a like and a comment so that really everybody in YouTube land knows that we're relevant. It really does a lot to the channel. So really appreciate that. So let's jump right into the first most common mistake. We got a bunch of them here today. So get your favorite drink, get some popcorn. We'll try to keep this as on point as possible. Let's jump right in now. All right, now I guess we all wish that we had some do-overs, even myself included. That's why we put together this playbook for you all. And the first mistake here when it comes to real estate investing is just poor focus. The good thing about real estate investing is that there's so many different strategies that you can go down and lots of spin-off businesses that come from real estate, but it's also the other side of that knife as well. It's a double-edged sword. There's also a lot of distraction, a lot of shiny objects when it comes to real estate investing too. So your ideal goal when it comes to being a real estate investor is to be the area expert, which is to be known for a certain strategy in a certain area, and that is it at first. I mean, over time you can scale and add things, but in the beginning you just want to be the area expert. I would rather dig a 1 foot wide hole a mile deep versus, you've heard the saying, right? 1 foot deep and a mile wide. So make sure that you're focused, you know what you want to do, you have some sort of a strategic advantage in that strategy, and you're going all in on it. All right, the next point is people get too emotional when it comes to real estate deals, all right? So some great advice from one of the books I read a long time ago, Donald Trump, The Art of the Deal. Whether you like Donald Trump or you don't, a lot of the information in that book is still very relevant today, and you need to make sure that you have some metrics in place, like a checklist of what to do and what is a must-have before you buy a deal. Fall in love with the numbers, not the actual deal itself, okay? You should know how to craft the deal, which we'll talk a little bit about later, but being too emotional really trips people up. You need to avoid it at all costs, okay? So don't be too emotional, be grounded. Look at a real estate investor who's bought 100 properties, and you'll realize that they look at every property as like a problem, and they only take on that problem from the seller or the seller's agent if there's enough upside, enough meat on the bone, enough potential profit, because otherwise they've got enough problems running the real estate business anyways. So that's the second piece there, don't be too emotional. All right, point number 3, only having one plan for the property when you buy it. This is important, especially today for flippers. When you buy a property like a flip, you need to make sure that you have a plan B, C, and even D, all right? And you should really always have that going way back in the time machine, not just today. But when you're flipping a house, it should make good sense as a BRRRR anyways, that you could always pull out your money and use it as a rental and be able to hold the property like that. With flips, you want to make sure it makes sense as a rental. You could always short-term rent it as well. You could always rent to own it. You could always do like vendor take-back financing on it, or something of that nature. So you want to make sure that you have more than just one strategy for a deal when you get in on it. Otherwise, you can get really locked into something that's going to become a lagger in or like a dog in your real estate portfolio, and you don't want to have that. Point number 4, moving too slow when it comes to your renovations and your projects, all right? So I've seen people that have lost a lot of money on holding costs and lost opportunity costs, more importantly, like lost rent and lost upside, timing the market, whatever it might be, because they just moved too slow. So there's a couple quick workarounds or a couple quick hacks that a lot of newbie investors wish that they knew, and I'll share them with you here today. So the first one is make sure you ask for some extra viewings as one of the conditions on your accepted offer. That lets you get into the property 2-3 times. Don't ask for 10, but 1 to 3 is usually pretty reasonable. That's when you get your contractors in, you get your quotes, you can take all your measurements, and if you have a long enough closing, you can make sure that the windows and the doors and the cabinets and the flooring and all that sort of stuff are ordered. The best thing is when you close on a property, if you can start making noise and people are on the tools and making progress, literally in some of the first days, definitely the first couple weeks, worst case scenario. I know every deal is a little bit different. Sometimes you actually want to wait some things out and get to know the property or the area a little bit better before you start digging in. But ideally, most times you want to get working on the property right away to avoid lost opportunity costs and extra holding costs, okay? So don't move too slow. All right, next point, point number 5, not knowing all the numbers on a property when you close on it, okay? So sometimes people just go in a little bit blind, They do napkin math only, which I think it's important to do napkin math so you can make quick decisions. That's when you just look at high level of the property within a minute. Is it a good deal or not a good deal? We'll probably film a future video about what napkin math is and how you can make quicker decisions when it comes to looking at deals and assessing. But lots of times people don't realize that there's going to be things like vacancy. There's going to be things like marketing the units. Like, if you got to put it on a featured listing or on a platform to market it, yeah, it costs money. There's going to be pest control. There's going to be some eviction costs once in a while. There's going to be vacancy. There's going to be like common area maintenance. There is going to be capital improvements, all right? So they're not budgeting for the windows and the doors and the roof and the kitchens and the bathrooms and the things that wear out over 10 to 15 years. And most importantly, some of the key components of the house or the building, which are like the heating and cooling systems. You want to make sure that you always have a budget for these types of things. And on the flip side, you want to make sure that you're not overcompensating and you're throwing so many expenses and so many worst case scenarios at things that no deal will ever make sense at any point unless someone actually gave the property to you. So we don't want to be there either, but you got to make sure that you know the numbers, you know all the true numbers, and that's why it's really important to make sure that you have the proper spreadsheets and calculators for this sort of stuff. All right, next point number 6, not practicing enough patience. Look, you got to say no to the good so you can say yes to the great. And if you're only using one strategy when it comes to finding your deals, like looking on the MLS, you might be practicing too much patience, okay? It's getting better, way better, compared to the past couple of years where the inventory tap was so turned off. But even if you're practicing like 5 to 10 different strategies to make your own funnels and find your own off-market deals, you still gotta practice some patience, okay? You gotta be like looking at 50 to 100 deals that, first of all, they pass the sniff test anyways for you to look at them a little bit more. And from those 50 to 100, that's where you're gonna find your 5 or 10 to go put your offers in on. And even then, not everybody's gonna sign back your offers. They won't like your offers or whatever it might be. They might not be motivated enough or what have you. So you gotta make sure that you're balancing that being patient with also taking action, all right? Don't be too patient that you take years to go find a deal. And on the other hand, don't be taking so much action that you're just making a mess and you're putting stuff in your portfolio that doesn't make any sense, okay? You gotta practice some patience. All right, next point kind of goes hand in hand with the last one, but you gotta put out more offers, okay? So many real estate investors are like afraid to put out an offer, okay? You should actually know how to put out offers yourself to private owners because not every deal actually hits the MLS, but that's another story. So, but you gotta get the offers out, okay? It is a numbers game sometimes, especially now. The market is hungry for offers. Like sellers want to see some offers. It is a starting point. It's gonna go back and forth a few times anyways. So you might as well get the offers out there because if you take 0 shots, the chance of you scoring on goal is also 0, okay? So you gotta put out more offers. It is a key metric. It is a lead indicator that's gonna show your lagging results when it comes to being a real estate investor. Put out more offers. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching right to the end of the video here. We actually had so many tips that we had to split it up into 2 separate videos. So if you're excited to see that next one, drop a like and a comment down below so that we can get it out to you and you don't have to make any beginner investor real estate mistakes, all right? We'll see you on the next video. Until then, be amazing.